Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Man, it's been a long time afternoon drive radio host there on Arizona Sports, arizonasports.com, 98.7 FM in Phoenix. Last time we talked to him, we were talking Suns Pels. Now we'll turn the page, talk a little NFL. John, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Good, Matt. How are you?
Be doing better if the Saints were doing better, but I think you could probably commiserate right now. Hey, I want to ask, Cliff Kingsbury, year 1, 5 wins, then 8 wins. Last year, 11 wins to make the wild card. 2-4 right now. What's the mood with Kingsbury and this team in general right now?
Most people did not think that he deserved an extension, even though he took a 3-win team, like you said, to 5, 8, 11 in the playoffs. There's these incredible collapses in the second half of seasons. They were 10-2 last year. They were 10-2 and finished with 11 wins, and they got blown out by the Rams. A lot of people didn't understand why he got an extension. The GM got an extension. Kyler Murray was a little more, you could understand, maybe you'll bet on the kid. But I think with Cliff, it was just, why? Why give him an extension? Give him another year to prove himself. You don't have to do anything. Interesting fact here, the agent for Cliff Kingsbury is the same agent for Kyler Murray. He was able to get those 2 deals done in the offseason.
Let's talk about the team. Both the offense and the defense, I mean, not surprising when you're 2-4, you got issues, but the offense and the defense are both in the bottom third of the NFL. Let's start with the offense. Why has it struggled?
Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is not understanding what he's seeing pre-snap. He gets to the line of scrimmage. He has no idea where he wants to go with the ball. You know, you're supposed to get up there, identify your Mike linebacker, take a look around, and have a real good idea of how you're going to go through your progressions. Kyler Murray's terrible at it. He always has been. But this year, he seems to have regressed to an incredible level to where he's got 6 touchdown passes in 6 games. He's on pace for 17. That would be his lowest by far. He looks scared out there. He's feeling the rush. He's got happy feet, but he really has no true idea where he's going with the football when he gets to the line of scrimmage. It's like playing street ball. It's like, he just makes things happen. He improvises. He's at his best when he improvises and the play breaks down. But the structure of the play, in the shotgun all the time, never behind center, he is just not seeing. There are plays, and a lot of people are blaming Cliff, but I'm telling you, Matt, there are plays that are open all over the field because I get game tape. I get game tape after the games. There's a lot of stuff that he is just missing. He's not seeing it.
How much of that has to do with DeAndre Hopkins not being out there? Of course, he's expected to return this week.
Isn't it bad that, like here it's like, oh, Hopkins is back. He's going to salvage the whole season. You've had 6 months to figure out how to play without DeAndre Hopkins. You didn't have him last year for a bunch of games, and now you 6 games this year. I mean, if Hopkins comes back and just kills it against New Orleans, that's kind of good, but it's also kind of bad that you can't play without him. There's plenty of weapons on this offense. You had Hollywood Brown up until now. You had A.J. Green. You had Rondale Moore. You had Zach Ertz. McBride. There's plenty of weapons. It's incredible that they're so reliant on one guy. Now, maybe he does come back and fix everything, and that's Kyler's safety blanket. But I think that's kind of scary that he is so reliant on one player because when he's not on the field, their offense is terrible.
And Brown and John Gambadoro is with us, 98.7 FM there in Phoenix, arizonasports.com, previewing the Cardinals. You mentioned Hollywood Brown's injury. I mean, 43 receptions. I mean, John, how much – I mean, obviously it's a big deal. How much does that affect the offense taking him away?
He's been great for them, but the problem with this team is that there are no explosive plays. Everything is behind the line of scrimmage or a few yards in front of the line of scrimmage. They don't have a 40-yard pass play this year. They're the only team in the NFL that doesn't have one. Their longest play of the season was last week against Seattle with like a 32-yard pass play. That's it. So we like Hollywood Brown. He's done a nice job for the Cardinals. But, the explosive plays and getting down the field and getting that 40, 50, 60-yard play, they're non-existent in this offense. There are no big plays.
Does the news this week, obviously trading for Robbie Anderson, who Saints fans know, obviously there is time in Carolina. How quickly does he assimilate? Does he have a role Thursday night?
They say he will. It might be a small role because you're not going to understand the whole playbook, but they need him. I mean, they need him. I mean, how many snaps is DeAndre Hopkins going to take his first game since December? So for his first game in a long time, so I would expect that Robbie Anderson, that they'll get him acclimated and he'll learn a portion of the playbook and they'll have him out there. Because Hollywood Brown is gone. They cut Andy Isabella, who was a former second-round pick. They waived him. They've got Antoine Wesley, who hasn't been able to make it back. So very depleted. We came in thinking that they were going to have this tremendous depth at wide receiver, and it just hasn't happened. So they had to go make that trade for Robbie Anderson. A.J. Green is averaging about 2 catches a game. He hasn't been able to give them anything. So they kind of need him. They need him to get up to speed as quickly as possible and play in this game.
We've talked so much about the offense. Defense is 22nd in scoring.
It's great. It's great. It's not great. It's a really good defense.
Okay. What's where?
Don't look at the numbers. Don't look at the numbers. Because they played Kansas City in Week 1, and the numbers are blown up because of Kansas City. That was the first game of the season. Kansas City threw 44 on them, and those numbers that you're looking at are just very reflective of what Kansas City did. They completely shut down Devontae Adams. They completely shut down Cooper Kupp. They completely shut down Christian McCaffrey's ability to run. They completely shut down A.J. Brown. They completely shut down DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. They have done an absolutely sensational job of taking the best weapons of teams and taking them out of the game. So the Kansas City game is the outlier. That was the first game. They hadn't played really in the preseason, and they got torched by Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But if you take that game out, they have been lights out. We are absolutely shocked at how much better this defense is than the offense. Vance Joseph has been tremendous and should absolutely get a look for a head coaching job next year.
Vance Joseph, of course, is a New Orleans native. A lot of people here know him, and I was going to ask because it is interesting to look at some of those point totals. I mean, a 20-17 loss to Philly, the 19-9 loss this week to Seattle. I mean, the defense looks like it has held up. If there is a weakness, where might the Saints attack?
4 games in a row, not giving up more than 20 points, too, right? You just mentioned them. 4 games in a row. The Rams, Carolina, Philly, Seattle. 4 games in a row. Good offenses have not scored more than 20 points against this defense. They don't have a great pass rush. It came alive last week against Seattle with some of the young kids. Majai Sanders, who was a rookie. Cameron Thomas, who's a rookie, each had a sack. Zaven Collins, a second-year guy, had 2. Their pass rush had been kind of non-existent as far as, the quarterback hits and the pressures and the sacks. That had been their weakness. Kind of came out a little bit against Seattle and got it going. But their safety play has been great. Their cornerback play has been surprisingly well. They do a pretty good job of stopping the run. So I would say if you're looking for a weakness, they usually don't get to the quarterback very much. So that's probably the one thing that they lost Chandler Jones, but he's been terrible with the Raiders. They just didn't really replace him. They drafted 2 kids, but not early in the draft, and those 2 kids, each had a sack in that game against Seattle.
Matt Prater, I don't know if you have a status update, but if he is obviously the Cardinals place kicker, if he doesn't play or if he's limited, how much does that impact this game?
Tremendously, because 2 weeks ago they had a chance to beat Philly and Matt Amendola missed an easy field goal.
Yeah.
That would have sent it to overtime, and then they brought him back and he missed an extra point against Seattle, and then they cut him. And they're hoping they signed Blankenship to the practice squad, but they're hopeful. I checked in yesterday, and they were hopeful that Prater was going to play. They don't know for sure, but they're hopeful he's going to play. What it does is it changes Cliff's decisions on field goals 35 yards and further out. If it's 4th and 4 and you got a chance at a 38-yard field goal, he'll tend to go for it. If it's 4th and 3 and you got a 40-yard field goal, he'll tend to pass up the 3 points and go for it, not having faith in the kicker. I mean, he had no faith. He passed up 4 field goal attempts last week. Now, they lost by 10 points. He passed up 4. He passed up 4 field goal attempts to go for it. It was 3 actually. He had 4. One he made, but he passed up 3 field goal attempts and nothing. One was like a 38-yarder, a 41-yarder, 44-yarder. He passed them up to go for it because he had no faith in the kicker. So, yeah, it absolutely affects the way Cliff coaches the game.
Last thing for you, time very much appreciated. At 2-4, and you look at the division as well, the short week is never easy, but how important is it for Arizona to win this game on Thursday?
I've said this on my show. They lose this game, their season's over. So they're not bouncing back from 2-5. There'll be 10 games left, and you probably have to go 8-2 to make the playoffs, maybe 7-3. They're not going to do that. They've still got to play on the road in Minnesota. They got to play on the road against the Rams. They got to play the 49ers. They got to play the Chargers. They got to play the Patriots. They got to play the Tampa Bay. I know they're struggling. They got to play San Fran again. They're not bouncing back from 2-5. A win here keeps them in it. And I know you can look and say, you're only 2 games out of first place, but I just think that's a hole that they're just not going to be able to climb out of, being 3 games under 500. Because a lot of the NFC's been a pretty good surprise, right? The NFC East has been shocking. Minnesota's been good. So I would think that they have to win this game. You put this one in the must-win category for them.
Gambo, it's interesting, man. We're having the same conversation here. Saints lose. The math doesn't work. Even though you're only 2 games back in the division, the math just doesn't work. So it's a massive game, obviously, for both teams. Thursday night, they're in the desert. He's John Gambadoro. On Twitter at Gambo987. Y'all give him a follow, 987 FM there in Phoenix, ArizonaSports.com. Maybe soon we'll be talking Pels Suns again. I'll look forward to that too.
Yeah, we got the Open. I'll be down at the arena tonight. The opener, Suns and Mavs, a rematch of last year's playoff round in which the Mavs just pumped them.
Let's go, man! I'm excited, man. A lot of optimism this way for the NBA season as well, man. We'll be in touch. We always appreciate a couple of minutes.
You got it, no problem. Take care now.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.